Hey, welcome to another episode of GeekOutdoors.com. Now, a lot of times when people talk about PCs, specifically if you are a gamer, a lot of times people want to talk about benchmarkings, okay? Like I myself, I understand the importance of benchmarks, but I'm more interested in real world performance, meaning what am I going to use my computer for every day and whether or not building that new computer, upgrading is actually worth it. Now, in my case, if you didn't know, I built a monster Linux PC, which is what I like to call it. And the specs behind it, just real briefly, it does have an Intel Core i7 6700K processor. It has an AMD RX 470 GPU with 4 gigs of RAM. I have 16 gigs of DDR4 memory, and on top of it, I'm running everything on 2 SSDs. So this is a pretty powerful machine. So a lot of times people talk about Linux and how it does really good with very low specs. So how will it perform in the real world when it has a lot of good specs? Well, as a matter of fact, it runs pretty good. So let me show you some of the stuff that I have open, and I'm going to show you some other things as well. So first, I got an Excel, or actually this is in LibreOffice open. Got a Word file, got a PDF file, and also at the same time I am recording this on OBS, and I also got this game running. I'll restart the game once I show you some other stuff, because once I play the game it will actually mess with things just a little bit. Because anyways, let's go ahead and move on to some other stuff, because that's not all that I have here. If you go here in workspace 1, I am uploading a YouTube video. Also right here, I'm rendering a video right now that is actually 12 gigs, and it's a 1080p. And then I got my system monitor running, temperature gauge. You can see all of that right here. So I have all of this running, and so far it's performing pretty well, as you could see right here. So these aren't typical of what I'm doing, but it's pretty close to what I'm doing. And at the same time, this is real world stuff. This is stuff that I would actually use my machine for, and not just for running benchmarks. So if you go back here to workspace 2, you remember I had that game running. So I'm gonna go ahead and get back into a game. Now, the reason I didn't want to do this earlier because once you start the game, you're actually in the game. Okay, so let me go ahead and get back into the game, and let me show you how it works, and see if we have any problems while doing this. So it's obviously got to load up this level. Now, if you're not familiar with this game, this is Shadow Warrior. It's a really fun game, and it's actually the reboot of the original 1991 game. Now, Shadow Warrior 2 has been released. However, it's not currently available on Linux yet. So this is a really fun game. I enjoy this a lot. And as you will see, like, I'm running the game, and I've got all those other things that I just showed you earlier that I am running. And normally this game will run at 60 frames per second. So with all of this going on, you can definitely see that there is an impact to performance. Okay, but it's still playable. And like I said, this is not something that I would say is a common thing for me to do, to be running all this, but I really wanted to see the performance. I wanted to test it out, see whether or not it was worth it to get all this hardware. And in most cases, for a lot of people, this is overkill, but sometimes you do have to stress out your system. And as you can see, it is playable, but obviously whenever you're gaming, it's always going to affect your performance. And in this case, I'm really doing quite a bit with my system. But as you can see, still playable. Not the best frame rates in the world, but at the same time, not the worst as well. And Shadow Warrior is a game that, although it is not the most graphically intensive, it still requires some horsepower to run. As you can see there, no problems. Still playable. So let's go ahead and go back out to all this other stuff I got. So I still got all this stuff going back here primarily. Still got all this stuff running. My temperatures aren't bad at all. Still rendering this file, a pretty big file. And as you can see here by my load, the CPU load, not bad at all. Memory, still got plenty of RAM left. And then I'm still uploading this YouTube video right here. So as you could see, this is actually real world performance, not benchmarks, but real world performance on whether or not your system running on Linux could handle all of this still at a reasonable rate. And as far as I could tell, yes, it could do it pretty well. So if you had any thoughts on Linux performance, benchmarks, hardware, whatever it is, leave it in the comments area below. And as always, if you did get value out of these videos, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And if you did want to support my channel, I am on Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/geekoutdoors. All that information is in the description below. Thanks for watching. See you in another episode. Thanks for checking out this episode. And as always, if you like these videos, be sure to click on the subscribe button. And for full written content, audio content, and additional geek stuff, head over to geekoutdoors.com, and I'll see you outdoors on the very next episode.